I'm certain of a few things more than the vast majority of people in general, whether they read comic books or they don't read comic books, could just give zero flying fucks about all this gender stuff going on in society. And if that's really, really important to you, then I say you do what's important to you. But I don't feel like you should have the ability to bother me and my enjoyment of my life just because you want to get your point across. We've all been told that a gender study degree is essentially worthless. It's basically there. It's like a Ponzi scheme. They're stealing your money. And then when you're done, there's no place for you to go unless you want to write like opinions on the internet, which anybody can do. You don't need a gender studies degree. Apparently, there is a place where you can ply your trade in the professional world. It's comic books. I don't know how we got here. One of the people that is really into gender identity and their gender identity, and you better know about their gender identity because it's the most important thing in the world, is Danny Lore. Why Danny Lore keeps getting hired, I'm not really sure. There's never been sales for any of their books. I've read a few Danny Lore books here or there. The one that really stands out, I believe, was a Blade comic that was absolutely laughable. In fact, we laughed about it here on the channel with Doc. It's good times. Not exactly how I like to spend my Saturday, but I'm willing to go through it as a service to you, the viewers, so you know just how bad comic books are getting. And this whole gender identity thing, it seems to be all that DC Comics are focused on. What's the sexuality of the character? What's the gender identity of the character? We need to get non-binary characters, and we need a gender swap and mantle swap. And it's just like, I think all the DC Comics fans are just sitting back and like, it's got to end eventually, right? This can't go on forever, right? But apparently it can go on forever. Today we got the big reveal that we're getting the male version of Raven in DC Comics' upcoming Multiversity miniseries, the spinoff of the highly successful Grant Morrison venture back in the day. I know a lot of us have made jokes, be like, you would never do that to a female character. You'd never make the male. Well, in fact, we all have to admit that Earth 11 is out there, and it's something that Grant Morrison created, where essentially the genders of all the heroes have been swapped. I think it's something that should be left alone and left for Grant Morrison to explore. Otherwise, let's just not even mention that it's there because it's so stupid. But we are getting a male Raven. It's stupid on many levels, and I'm going to try and cover them all right here during this video. It's stupid on so many levels, I might not actually get to all of them. I might forget one or two, but I'm going to come to you with the cold, hard facts. I got the information. I've got opinions, shockingly. DC has provided a look at the version of Raven appearing in Multiversity Teen Justice by Ivan Cohen, Danny Lore, and Marco Falla. The cover and solicitation information released for Teen Justice #2 reveals a look at Robbie Rodriguez's cover for the issue. The image shows the various members of Teen Justice and a masculine presenting version of Raven. CBR are actually scared to use the word male now. That's clearly a male version of Raven. But they got to hedge their bets. We got to say masculine looking. We can't even use words that have been part of our vernacular our entire lives now because it might upset somebody. You might offend somebody on purpose or not on purpose. It doesn't matter because once you've offended somebody, if they're the right group, then you are the villain. You're just pure evil. It doesn't matter if there's agendas out there and you're just not acknowledging them. You're just trying to do your own thing. And why is Danny Lore getting work? I don't get it. It's like, how does this keep happening? Never sold a comic book. Can't write superheroes, and can only do the same thing over and over. It's always about gender identity and stuff like this. Vita Ayala already exists. I know they're friends, but that's what Vita Ayala peddles as well. I just don't think it works in superheroes because nobody comes to superheroes for the stupid nonsense like that. There's a place for that. It's called the indie comic scene. But DC are hell-bent on indoctrinating their fan base, I guess, into these ideas so they can go out there and have the very best pride off, and they can defeat Marvel and show them they have more pride than anybody. And we continuously get bad comic books by Danny Lore and Vita Ayala and others who only think about gender identity and sexuality and all that stuff. While all of us are over here, like the normal people, are just rolling our eyes going, make it go away. That's all I ask. I don't let everyone, you guys can do your thing. I just don't want to be a part of it. But you can't get away from it nowadays. No one will let you. At this time, there are still a lot of mysteries surrounding this new version of Raven, who hails from Earth 11. The plot synopsis of the 6-issue Multiversity Teen Justice series notes Raven has previously refused to join the team. That team also features Jess Chambers, a gender-fluid, non-binary version of Flash that may just be the fastest version of the character yet. Well, of course they are. Every new version of the character that's special in every unique way by their gender and ethnicity and whatever it is that they use to define the character. It's no longer about who they are or anything like that. It's what they represent, as in what diversity group they represent. Of course, this character is faster than Barry Allen and Wally West combined. Just like JoJo Mullins is the multiverse's greatest detective, which certainly usurps the title of world's greatest detective from Batman. This stuff it's so lame, it's so predictable. And trying to read this article, and as they're trying to explain the characters in Teen Justice Multiversity, why does it feel like I'm studying for a gender studies degree myself? This stuff is getting ridiculous. I don't want to read any of this stuff. Nobody does. But because I do love you, the viewers, and the people out there that are unwilling to give their money over to a comic book like this, and I don't blame you, I will take one for the team, I'll read this stuff, and I'll let you know just how bad it got. But DC Comics never should have gotten here. I should be out here every single Tuesday saying, you need to read this. You need to read that. Oh my goodness, there's so many good DC comics. You're going to have to prioritize this way, and these are all the great things coming out. Rarely do I have anything to come out here and talk about in a really positive manner. Yes, we've had World's Finest and a few other stories like that, but mostly it's crap like this. Mostly it's Carter Hawk is asexual now. John Kent is bisexual. Tim Drake is bisexual. Alan Scott is gay now. It's when I got into this, I thought I was going to get to talk to everybody about how great comics were and how much fun they were. And certainly they have been a spell here or there, but mostly it's just crap like this, especially from DC. Like, what the fuck happened? They need somebody that can step in and change the outcome, change the future for DC Comics for the better. Because at this rate, there's not going to be any comic book readers left that actually have interest in DC Comics. There'll be speculators, and they'll go out there like, oh, this is a key issue. I better get that one, and I like that cover artist, so I'll buy it. But no one will ever actually open the comic books because they know it's garbage like this from Danny Lore. Created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, Rachel Roth Raven first appeared in 1980's DC Comics Presents 26. The daughter of the demonic Trigod, Raven has a number of powerful abilities. However, her most recognizable is likely her empathy, which gives her the ability to manipulate the emotions of others. Raven is best known for her time as a Teen Titan, and she's appeared in various adaptations of the team's adventures. And the one that is most recognizable, of course, is from Teen Titans Go, which is a phenomenon. And guess what that appeals to? Little kids. So Raven is one of the few characters in DC's arsenal that they can put out there and expect kids to go in and buy the book if they put it in the right market and they get it in the right shelves. One character of very few that DC Comics have nowadays that actually translate to kids. We do know that in the comic book market, with all the amazing growth that people like to talk about, it's dominated by two areas. Manga, mostly with adults, Scholastic and stuff like that for kids. So all the growth is coming with kids, i.e. new readers, and adults leaving DC and Marvel behind and going to manga. You have a character in Raven, entirely recognizable by this young audience. They like the character. They have a relationship with the character. There's a good likelihood that you can flip a Raven comic book either to the YA audience or directly to the kids audience and actually make some profit, make some headway, and maybe get some of these new readers into your product. Let's bring in the male version of Raven now, because gender studies is the most important thing that DC Comics peddles these days. It's not about making money. It's not about entertaining their audience. It's about pushing through these stupid agendas. Well, isn't that a great brand strategy? When there's more new comic book readers being created today, every single day, than in the history of the comic book industry, and you're missing out on all of them. Let's go make sure that we're putting out the Boy Raven comic book. Let's go out there and make sure that Carter Hawk is asexual in canon. We need to have a letter from him to his mother explaining what it's like to be asexual. Let's make sure that we have a bisexual Superman. We got to have a member of the Batman family who's bisexual as well. Why all these stupid things are happening and people aren't buying them, the entire comic book industry is leaving DC behind. Marvel is absolutely stomping a mud hole in them, walking it dry on the direct market, and in the bookstore market, where all that enormous growth is coming from and all these new readers are being cultivated for comic books, they only got 2 entries into the top 750. Couldn't even make a dent. It's pathetic. The state that DC Comics are, and it's all self-inflicted, all under the leadership right now of Jim Lee. We know change is coming, but it might not come fast enough. I think DC Comics have an agenda to essentially destroy everything that they stand for because they don't like looking themselves in the mirror. Oh my gosh, Superman's our most powerful, important character. He's a straight white male. That's terrible. Batman is our best-selling character. He's a straight white male. We need to end this stuff. Let's get a non-binary, gender-fluid Flash out there. Let's make sure that we got a new ethnicity out, old Aquaman, make sure that he's gay. We better have a Green Lantern that's more powerful than all the other Green Lanterns, but she's got to be gay, and she also can't be white. You can't have that. And she has to be a better detective than Batman in canon. They're cutting their noses off despite their face. You just can't make this stuff up. I mentioned Danny Lore earlier, and a lot of you might be going, who the fuck is Danny Lore? That is a good question. Danny Lore is being treated as this really big comic book star. Never really sold a comic book. Can't really tell stories. I've mentioned that before. If you need proof, I did this video a couple years back with Pele, who used to be a regular contributor to the channel. Haven't seen him around in a while, but this is a good conversation talking about Danny Lore's first issue as the writer of Champions. This was supposed to be the first big break, and really it was the first big eye-opener to fans that Danny Lore can't write comic books.